Hello again, everybody. Let's paint. I've got a canvas here. It's 8 inches wide, 10 inches tall. And this one is a 72 pixel per inch. Just trying 72 to see how it goes on my computer. When I'm recording these videos and trying to paint, it really slows down the computer. And I'm hoping the smaller size picture will go better. We'll see. Okay, I've got my big wet sky and cloud brush. And I have a color chosen here. And we're just going to start scrubbing in. I'm pushing a little harder to get a darker color. And now medium pressure to put in a little lighter color. And now no pressure just to blend that out. I'm just using crisscross strokes. And let's put in some water. That's just a swirl stroke. And going back to crisscross. A little more pressure. It's a little too light there. Less pressure. I'm going to put a little more pressure here, add some more color to this. Thought it was a little too light. Okay, a little more color here. Heavy pressure along the top again. All right, real good. Now we can blend that. If I can find my blender right there. And I'll use crisscross strokes again. What I really like about this blender is that it doesn't pull color in from the side, as you can see there. Most generally doesn't pull color. Once in a great while it will, for some reason. Okay, crisscross. Light to medium pressure. And back and forth. Now, I like it like this. I liked it without any blending, actually. You could continue blending this until it's completely smooth if you wanted. Now, this area might be a little too light, but I think it'll be okay. Oh, crap, I did that on the canvas. I did that on the canvas layer. I didn't want to do that on the canvas layer. Hello, I'm back. I had made a mistake. It's really not a mistake. I was painting on the canvas layer, and I've moved it to sky layer, and I've made a tip video showing how I did that. So let's move on here. You can watch that if you want. I've made another layer, and we're going to put in some clouds. I picked the puffy cloud. We need to change the color here to something. And let's start putting in some puffy, fluffy clouds. I'm just doing little swirls. Moderate pressure. Okay. Scrubbing back and forth just a little, and then I'm going to swirl it. All right. Love the fluffy cloud. Okay, there's some clouds. Let's call that clouds. I have no idea why that didn't complete. Okay. Let's pick the mountain brush, palette knife brush, and let's pick a dark color. Dark blue, be fine. And let's size it down a little bit. And we'll put in a color starting here. Maybe come up, drag that down a little. Okay. Now we'll select the blender brush. Let's size that down a little too. Just pulling that color down. And we'll get out the two hairs and some air blender. And we'll just do some little swirlies. Back and forth. See how nice that blends that in? I love that brush. Okay, let's do the detail palette knife. And make it smaller. Change the angle a little bit. Just start putting in our highlights here. I love how the paint breaks on this brush. You can see that I can just barely put paint on it. I'm not hardly pressing. But if I press harder, it puts more paint on. Okay, let's pick a darker color for our shadow. turn it a little. Oops, I went the wrong way. That's what's nice about having, this is a Microsoft Surface Pro 3 tablet, and it doesn't have brush rotation. If you have brush rotation, it makes it easier to follow angles. I decided to darken this up some. It was too similar. We'll put a little more highlight here. Shoot. There, that's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, that's our mountain. Now we have a few layers for the mountain, and so we're going to group those layers, call it mountain, and let's group these two layers, call it sky. Now you don't have to group if you don't want to. I just find it's easier. See, I can go back in here and I know that that's my mountain layers. And I could rename those if I wanted to, but I can tell by looking here what they are. You know, that's the background, that's the blend. This is the highlight or detail, and then we're going to blend that again. And I'm using moderate pressure. And then just back and forth a little. Okay, that looks nice. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, let's put in some distant trees and some distant ground. I've selected the fan brush, and I've picked a dark green, and we're going to take the fan brush and just scrub in some trees, well, trees, some ground. Let's just go all the way across this time. And we'll come down. I'm just using light to medium pressure. I'm just scrubbing in some color here is all we're doing. Is we got to have some dark for the light to show. And I'm going to take the brush and let's turn it, and we'll squeeze it down some so I can make some vertical lines here. And I'm tapping pretty hard. This is just an indication of, faraway trees. Doesn't have to be anything special. Some of them will probably even be covered up. Okay, let's turn it back flat. And let's put in a little extra at the bottom here to kind of fill in those spaces. Okay, let's grab another brush. Let's get the fan brush grass. And we're going to just scrub in. This is going to break up the fan brush, so it's not quite so square. I'm just using light pressure there also. Okay, now let's go with the ground cover brush, and let's pick a little lighter green. No, let's not. Let's go with like a yellow. Let's see what this looks like. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this on another layer just in case I hate it. It makes it easier to remove. And I'm just moving and tapping. I'm not dragging the brush, just tapping along. Trying to go with the angle of the ground, or making your angle of the ground. You can make it as flat or steep as you want as you're coming through here. Just tap, tap, tap. Tell you what, I'm going to make that brush a little bigger. I should have made the brush bigger to begin with. Okay, now let's pick a highlight color, or probably a medium, or not a highlight, but we're going to do highlights next is what I'm trying to say. This is almost highlights. Pretty much highlight. See that? It's too big. Just barely tapping, except for there. Okay, let's change the color a little bit. And just here and there, we're going to put some highlights. Okay, there that is. I think I'm going to blend that a little bit. If I can find my blender. 2 hairs and some air. Just a little. Okay. Now we need a shoreline to go along the water there. I think I'll use the regular palette knife, my regular knife, and we'll flatten that out, and we'll get a nice brown color. And we'll just scrub in, make that smaller. Let's see, I need to turn the brush a little. Okay, let's put some highlights on that. It'll probably be too bright. Let's see how that goes. Now I'm staying on the same layer. If you want the paint to break more, so you can go on a new layer. But I like it smeary sometimes. Especially this is supposed to be a little farther away, so okay, there that is. Now we need to put a shoreline. And we'll pick a nice light color. And let's get a tinier brush. And we're just going to scrub in a shoreline. Okay, now the next thing is let's put in some trees. Okay, let's put in some trees, a little closer tree here. And I've already got the fan Evergreen light brush selected. And we're just going to tap and scrub in some trees, going back and forth, applying more pressure as I'm going down the tree. I'm going to flatten that a little bit. Okay, here we go. Just scrubbing back and forth. Light pressure, medium pressure, and then there's heavy pressure. Light pressure, medium pressure, heavy pressure. Just wiggling the brush back and forth. Okay, now we need to put some reflections in the water here. I've already got my shoreline on. So what I think I'm going to do is make another layer, bring it down here underneath the shoreline, and we'll put in some trees. See, they're going behind the shoreline there. If that ends up being a mistake, I can move it. I can move it above. Okay, now we're going to get the water reflection brush, and we'll just pull straight down on that. Heavy pressure. And then lightly go across both ways. Okay. I think that was the right move because the water lines would block off some of that. Also, if those water lines look a little too heavy, you can bring the opacity back on them. Okay, now let's go back up to the trees. I think I'll make another layer, and we're going to use that to highlight the trees. And then once again, if I screw up the highlights, then it's easy to fix. If it's on the same layer, it might not be so easy to fix. Depends on how many undos you have. I only have 15 undos because of the size of my computer. So now these first highlights are going to be, maybe not so highlighty, just a little to show some roundness. So I'm kind of going all the way around the tree. And just here and there, trying to stay on previous branches that I've already built. Okay, now we can brighten that up, and you can see the sun is coming from the right, shining down on the mountain. So we want our highlights on the right. And, you can make these as bright as you want. But since these are still kind of farther away, well, you can still have, I guess the distance doesn't matter. What's in light and what's in shadow? We really don't have, we could have a big cloud or something overhead that would be causing a shadow. But I'm trying to keep these simple. Let's lighten that up one more time. And just here and there, throw in a couple of sparkles. Ooh, that's a little too. Okay, now we could, if you wanted, put some of this in the grass here and there to kind of give the grass a little more variation. it looks like there's some kind of a shrub or something there. You could get out the, let's see, where is it? What am I looking for? This fan brush, splash brush, also can make little flowers, or gigantic flowers as big as that was. Ooh, that's big. Now you've got rotation and squeeze on this, so they all don't look the same. You can rotate it and squeeze it. Okay, that's the distant trees. And the next thing we need to do is come back in and do the foreground, and we'll have a painting. Okay. Okay, let's block in some color on the foreground here. I've chosen the big fill-in 2 brush, and I've got a dark green. And let's just start laying in color. Okay, let's go. Oh, wait a minute. My preserve transparency was on. That's the first thing you should check if it won't do anything, if it won't paint. So we're just scrubbing in some color. I'm using medium to heavy pressure. I want this to be dark, and we'll give it shape. With our highlights. Okay. I don't know what to call that yet, so we'll call it something later. Let's pick my tree trunk brush. And let's pick a dark brown color. And let's start laying in some trees. Oh, right about here, I guess. There's one. There's 2. Well, let's just put 2 on that side. No, let's not. Let's put 1 coming in from the side there. Okay, now this one of these trees I think will be dead, or no leaves anyway. Let's come down here and let's put another one in. Now I'm starting off with no pressure, and then I'm increasing the pressure as I'm going down to give it that extra width. Okay, let's put in some limbs. I'm going to make these trees evergreens, I believe, since we're doing evergreens. We could make it with leaves. If you want leaves, that's okay. I'm not going to spend too much time putting leaves in, or branches in. Your tree, you can fill it full of branches if you want. This brush is relatively heavy for putting in a lot of little branches. I have a better brush for that. Let's see, what's it called? Twigs and water lines. That puts in tinier branches. We want to highlight these trunks since they're so close. And let's pick the detail palette knife for that. And we'll make it a little lighter. Now the sun's coming from the right, so we want to be highlighting on the right-hand side. I'll tell you what, I'm undoing that. I don't like that. I'm gonna make a separate layer, and the paint will break easier. It'll look better. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. And we can even, well, we're going to go lighter, but I'm going to do them all this color first. And then we'll come back and highlight. And you see how that pushes that other tree back? I like that. So which one do we want to do here? Let's make this one. Make it go like that. And that pushes that other one back. Okay, let's go a little lighter. And then we'll just here and there put some highlights. No pressure. No pressure. Okay, I'll tell you what we could also do is put in a little bit of a shadow. Too blue. It might still be a little too blue, but it'll be okay. Okay. There that is. And let's see, because we're using a thick paintbrush, the thick paintbrush makes its own layer. So we can get rid of that layer. Just double check to make sure that you're not deleting something that you want by turning the eyeball off and on and looking at the, okay, there's that. Now we click up there and we'll put in another layer, and let's pick the Evergreen brush, and we need a green color. You know, they're evergreens. If they were ever blues or ever reds, we would pick another color, but okay, I'm starting off with very little pressure to get the small limb, and then coming in with a little more pressure. And I'm going to make these, you know, relatively thin because they're so close together. I probably could have just put one giant evergreen here. Well, let's go on ahead and make this one bigger. And then we'll take this one and make it smaller. Let's just leave that tree blank. So we'll put some of this tree over the top of it. Okay. Let's do this one. Oh, too far out. Okay. Now we're going to let that look like there's branches coming out there. And we're going to cover up these two trees. All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to highlight this so I can see where my branches are at because it's so dark. And then I can put in the others a little easier. I'll just highlight these two. Now we're mainly, I put this color clear across the tree, but the final highlights we want to put just on the right side of the tree because that's the direction of the light. I'm just using no pressure. You can use heavier pressure. Okay, now let's go back to the dark and let's put this tree in. I'm leaving some of the branches show. I just like it that way. If you don't like it that way, you can do it however you want. This is your masterpiece. Now I'm pressing pretty hard down here trying to make, bigger limbs. Okay, now let's highlight that some. You know what? I'm going to leave those other trees. I'm going to leave those other trees empty. I like it that way. The next thing that we need to do. Oh, I'll tell you what I want to do. Let's get the. Oops. Let's get the. Where's it at? Ground cover. And I want to put some ground cover in, but I'll tell you what, I want it behind these trees. So that means that we got to come back down here to this layer. That's that ground cover. And let's make a new layer above that for our highlight. And we'll pick a nice green. No, let's not. Let's pick let's pick a yellowy green. And my brush is probably too big. Somewhere in there. Let's turn off those trees for a second. And let's see what that does. Now I want to see what it looks like if I turn this to 90 degrees. And then we're going to take and reduce the squeeze and make it more round. And now let's see if we can't make something like a bush. Okay, that's not too bad. And let's highlight that. Let's reduce the size a little more. Oh yeah. And let's change the color some. Okay, real nice. Now let's turn these layers back on and see what that looks like. Oh, that's great. That's great. Now what we need to do is set those trees into the ground. And so let's put a layer above our tree layer. And let's take the ground cover brush and we'll reset it. And we'll run the size down. And let's go dark to begin with. And no, I don't like that. Okay, see now I've run out of undos. All right, let's go that route. What I want to do is change the brush, I think. Let's go with the fill-in. And let's make it real dark. And let's reduce the size. And let's fill in some color here. Now what that's going to do is going to give me a dark background so I can come back in and use the ground cover brush and we'll lighten it up and then we'll just tap in some grass. See how that is better? They're real nice. You know what? We need a path to walk along there. So let's go with the palette knife and let's pick a dark brown and let's change it to like a 90 degrees and make it a little bit bigger. And now let's scrub in some, wait a minute, too high up. I don't want to cover up all my grass. There. Let's just put that in the hole. Well, no, I don't want to do that. There. Now let's pick a lighter color and let's see what it looks like on the same layer. Yeah, that's okay. Let's make another layer. Let's see what that looks like. Make it a little lighter. See how that paint breaks now? Look at that in it. Maybe that looks like little pebbles or stone or something. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see. Layer 12 doesn't have anything on it, but we need a layer. So we'll use it. And let's go back to the ground cover brush. And let's tap in some grass over the top of that road. That'll set the road in. And we'll do it down here. There, real nice. Now let's do a little highlight here and there. Maybe even like a goldy color. Okay, let's get the splash brush if I can find it. And let's go with a nice reddish orange. Let's see how big that's going to be. Let's go a little wider. Okay, let's get the twig brush. And let's put in some twiggies here and there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, you know what? I'm going to make a small change to this. I want to go back to the thick paint layer and let's go to the mountain brush and let's pick a dark color. And okay, I gotta I'm sorry, I gotta get above these other layers. And let's color. I just wanted to I didn't like the way that looked. It looked like a fisheye or something lens had taken the picture. So breaking that up a little bit, hopefully that'll help that. Okay, let's make another layer and we're going to go back to the twig brush and let's sign this painting. Pick a nice color. I don't know, right in there somewhere. And okay. Now if that's too big, you can reduce that by retransform and then just make it smaller if you want. Or you can rotate it, do all kinds of stuff up here. Okay, that is that painting. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Like my paintings. Leave comments. Thank you.